This is Pepe. When Pepe drives his car, he often gets distracted. Sometimes his buddy Bruno will text him and he'll take his paws off the wheel to reply. Sometimes he'll see a cute Labrador walking past and he'll take his love-struck eyes off the road. Aside from these distractions, Pepe also gets blurry vision when he drinks too much from puddles. You see, Pepe is prone to making mistakes, which makes him a very dangerous driver. On top of this, Pepe doesn't have opposable thumbs and he can't read traffic signs. This is because Pepe is a dog. Everyone, I hope you're not judging Pepe too strongly for getting behind the wheel, because the reality is his story reflects most of us on the road. Now, I'm not saying every one of us are incompetent canines. If that were the case, there would be millions of deaths on our roads daily. But with that being said, humans are still quite dangerous behind the wheel, even when we're at our best. Our world in data shows that approximately 1.2 million people died by road injuries in 2019 alone. Now, the incoming AI revolution has made some people think that humans' time behind the wheel is coming to an end. With self-driving cars hitting the market and gaining in popularity, life on the road is envisioned to look quite different in the coming decades. Let's look at a few reasons why this may or may not be the case. And let's see if AI truly does make humans look like doggos when we're on the road. Category 1, safety. For those in the autonomous vehicle camp, they believe wholeheartedly that self-driving cars are safer. They have more sensors, more processing power, and make better decisions quicker, especially in emergencies. They also don't make mistakes as frequently as we do. On top of this, they don't get tired, they can't get drunk, and they have the ability to communicate with other cars on the road. Something that humans, try as we might, just aren't really that good at. As much as we would like to think we know what the car next to us is going to do, we really can't account for their actions. They may swerve, fall asleep, have a heart attack, cut us off. The possibilities are endless. A fleet of autonomous vehicles are far more predictable because they can calculate what each vehicle around them will be doing in any given moment. For those who aren't convinced that self-driving cars are necessary or even wanted, you'll often hear recollections of how self-driving cars have actually caused accidents, not prevented them. Fears that autonomous vehicles will go against their algorithms sporadically without reason strikes fear in many skeptics. Beyond this, it's believed that the algorithms just simply can't take into account the sheer amount of variables that are faced when driving on our roads. From cats running across the street to bad weather conditions or roads that resemble war zones. Some believe that as powerful as the AI and the sensors are, they're just simply not up to the task. Many that already have self-driving vehicles speak of how their cars do brilliantly on the freeway, yet they struggle in suburban and city areas, almost dangerously so. As time goes on, it'll be interesting to see if opinions change on either side. Category 2, climate. We all know about that apocalyptic planet killer called climate change. For many, this has become a driving force for the adoption of self-driving cars. All autonomous vehicles are either electric or hybrid, which in theory translates to less emissions while driving. With specific algorithms to maintain speed and efficiency, hybrid vehicles are likely to emit far less CO2 from their exhaust. If the car is fully electric, it isn't letting out any emissions. Having self-driving cars is also believed to result in having less cars on the road overall. Due to the ability of an autonomous vehicle to pick people up and drop them off as they need, a family unit where 3 to 4 cars were once needed can now be cut in half. Here's an example. A self-driving car could drop dad off at the gym at 7, come back home, pick up mum and take her to work by 8, drive back home, pick up the kids and take them to school by 9. Once where 2 or 3 cars were needed, you now only need 1. Less cars on the road, emitting less CO2, equals a happier planet. Those who oppose this idea believe that self-driving cars will actually be worse for the climate. This is because although on the surface they appear to be more efficient, they will be driving far more often. For example, you're likely to take a conventional car to work and then it will remain unused in the car park for pretty much the whole day. A self-driving vehicle, on the other hand, could be used to run other errands or pick other people up, resulting in increased mileage overall. If this is the case, it ultimately cancels out any gains that we may have made by having less cars on the road in the first place. Also, people who once caught public transport may now opt for the more luxurious robocars, resulting in more cars on the road, not less. With regard to emissions, if the car is electric, then the way that the electricity was produced to power the batteries may not necessarily be climate friendly. For example, if it's produced by a coal plant rather than solar or nuclear energy. Category 3, the economy. Those who are all for self-driving cars often talk about how these vehicles are an opportunity to make money, turning a usually depreciating asset into a side hustle that could make you thousands over the year. The idea goes like this. Normally, you would drive your car to work and then leave it in the car park. Eventually, you'd drive it home and then you'd leave it in the garage. The reality is that the car is spent 18 to 20 hours of the day not being used. With self-driving cars, when you're not using it, you could offer it for a price to pick people up who don't have a car. You could essentially make money as an Uber driver without actually having to drive the car yourself. You've pretty much pimped out your car. To add to this, if companies wanted to advertise inside your vehicle with posters or ads on the dashboard, you could get paid some portion of the ad revenue. When it's time for you to finally need the car, you just summon it from your phone, it will finish its last trip and then drive straight back to you to take you wherever you need to go. More disposable income generally leads to more spending, which leads to a more stimulated economy. Theoretically speaking, this should lead to everyone being somewhat better off. There's also the promise of huge increases in productivity. For example, people will now be able to do work, have meetings, and essentially get more done in their day. The hour-long commute to and from work can now be used effectively instead of on the mundane task of driving. This productivity increase is again theoretically linked to better outcomes for the economy. But of course, there's another side. Autonomous fleets are likely to remove many jobs in the transport industry, from trucking and taxi services all the way to public transport. This is a lot of people out of jobs with no guarantee of upskilling. Individually speaking, picking people up in your car without you being there to make money sounds great, but this doesn't account for some of the problems that you may face. Damages to your vehicle, cleaning costs, insurance, potential legal issues. All of this could cost a hefty amount, making it more of a burden than a moneymaker. With regard to productivity, it may just be that instead of writing that essay or report, you're far more likely to fall asleep or watch Netflix. I mean, realistically, when's the last time you wrote an email in a limo? And that only scratches the surface of what people are going to be doing inside of cars if they become fully self-driving. I'm sure you can use your imagination. But of course, this could also be seen as a positive. It could be an opportunity to get back some leisure time in your busy day. So I guess like a lot of other things, it depends how you decide to use your time. So there you have it, a few things to consider when thinking about the topic of self-driving cars. As for myself personally, this is how I see it. I think that the positives of self-driving cars outweigh the negatives. I feel that currently they're still in their infancy and they shouldn't be judged too harshly. I think that as the AI improves and more training data is acquired, these cars will be able to self-drive in almost every condition, and that human intervention will be required extremely rarely and only in very particular circumstances. For the most part, I think it will actually be illegal for humans to drive on freeways or suburban roads. I think that driving will become more of a recreational activity that's experienced on racetracks and designated roads, or for activities like four-wheel driving. It will become something fun that we do like go-karting, as opposed to something we have to do to get from point A to point B. I think it will also be brilliant for those suffering from disabilities who are unable to drive. This could give them a new level of independence. I'm not entirely convinced with the money-making aspect of it, only because I feel like a big company like Google or Tesla will provide the fleets to everyone, as opposed to everyone having their own. It might just be that in the future, no one owns a car at all. Improvements in road design, road maintenance, how we produce electricity, and other essential infrastructure will all have to be looked at. But I think while the transition period will be difficult, it will ultimately be worth it. I do also have some questions regarding the law. If an autonomous vehicle does for whatever reason crash and cause an accident, who's held legally accountable for that? The person who owns the car? The car manufacturer? The poor passenger who just wanted to go on a Macca's run? I'm super interested to hear what everyone else thinks, so if you'd like, please leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this video, I really would appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Okay, that's it. I gotta go. I'll see you guys next time.